Welcome, darling, to Her Majesty's Hideaway. I'm Sandra, once a stay-at-home mom and volunteer extraordinaire, now an empty nester living my most authentic, unapologetic life as an entrepreneur who happens to be poly, pagan, bi, and kinky. Here I share how I stepped into polyamory and the wild, beautiful journey that's unfolded over the past few years. Candid, honest, and a touch intoxicating. I'm not a therapist or a professional, just a woman with a story to tell and a voice, unfucking afraid to use it. A gentle reminder, this show explores mature themes and includes explicit language. By listening, you are giving consent to join me in this space. If you're under 18 or uncomfortable with adult topics, please hit stop, and thank you so much for coming. For those of you who wish to linger, curious, captivated, or just craving a little truth with your tea, settle in, my darling. Story time is about to begin. Some of you are wondering, why Hideaway? I thought we're not telling secrets anymore. Well, Hideaway, because this is the room in the castle where a page has just escorted you to and opened the door, and you see me sitting regally in my little chair next to a nice table set with some tea and some cakes, all of your favorite snacky things. There's a chair across from me, maybe with a blanket, whatever makes you comfortable. We are in a chamber that has a beautiful bed and lots of tapestries on the wall, some very spicy paintings, possibly. Use your imagination. This can be a castle and a room set at any time period that you like that makes you feel comfortable, because the reason this is the Hideaway is because it is our safe space. This is where you can have an open mind. Ask me questions. I can answer your questions, and no one else is listening. It's just you and I. So here it is, Season 1, Episode 1, Take 3. Yes, this is my third time recording this. However, that's only because the first time I sounded like a robot. I was reading notes that I had like I was, still in elementary school reading aloud from a book in the back of the classroom. The second one was good, but I kept veering off onto different topics. And I really want to stay on topic and give you guys the information that I am so humbled to be able to give you. The fact that so many of you have reached out and said, you should do a podcast, means the world to me. To think that anyone wants to hear or know about my story, one, is amazing. And two, to have this opportunity to share it with just you is even better. So, if you are out running right now, good for you. Go get me some too. If you're on the treadmill at the gym, if you're just sitting having coffee, if you're on your way to work, I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day, and I hope that this helps open your mind and expand your sense of belonging in the world. Okay, so like I said, instead of veering off all the time, I'm going to stay on topic. Topic is, first episode, how did I become polyamorous? This was not an easy process, nor was it fast and quick. This was something that took many, many months of deliberation. And when I say many months, I mean many months. I'm not talking like hubby and I sat down, 2-3 times, and in 2 months we're just like, okay, let's take our near 30-year relationship and open it up to other people. It was not nearly that simple, my friends, if only it were. So, here's the story, and it's a little long, and it does veer off a bit, but bear with me because everything I tell you definitely has something to do with why we're here. As a kid, I always knew that I was different. I knew that I cared about a lot of people. I've always been a nurturer. I am an empath. I have a tendency to be able to sense when something's off in someone, and I want to help and nurture that. Is that always good for myself and my mental health? Maybe not, but I have found a way after these 54 years of going around the sun that I have coping mechanisms. I know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, and what guards I need to put up now and then, just in case someone is taking advantage or taking it for granted. I also know when it's been too much. Like if I go to visit a hospital, I need to shut off. I need to be there and be with and be present for whomever it is I'm going to visit or see or be in the process with. Other than that, if I'm walking by a room, if I'm walking by the nurse's station, if I'm walking by doctors, they have a lot of feelings too, guys. I know they seem shut off and everything from the world, but they really do. So I need to shut it down for me, because otherwise I will absorb so much that within an hour or two, I will have a blinding headache and be just absolutely exhausted for the rest of the day. That being said, that leads me to the meaning of polyamory. So let's go over that first before I give you the why. Polyamory literally means, and not in exact terms because I'm not looking at a dictionary right now, many loves. Poly, many, amorous, love. Amore, as they say in some languages and I've heard in movies. So polyamory is many loves. That means that we can love more than one person at a time, because we have different feelings and different levels of love for different people. Do you not agree? Think about the person you may be in a relationship right now. Easy for me to say. Think of the person you may be in a relationship with right now. You love them in a certain manner. You also have besties and relatives and close cousins and whatnot, co-workers, work wives, work husbands, that you love and care for in different ways. Polyamory is very similar to that. I have a husband. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we have been together nearly 30 years. We have a great life together. We've worked hard. Of course, we've had stumbling blocks. Every single relationship does. There's no avoiding that whatsoever. But we've made it. We've made it this far. This year in next year in 2026 will be our 28th wedding anniversary, which means next December 2026 we'll have been together 30 years. That's nuts. It's absolutely nuts, but it's beautiful. Like I said, we've worked hard. We've built a life. We have a beautiful home, decent cars. We have good jobs. We have a really good daughter. She's 20, and of course she's learning and she's growing, and there are stumbling blocks there too. However, when it comes to our family dynamic, she's very mature. She's always had an old soul, and we've always shared everything because it's just the three of us, and not like, icky details about things, but we'll get to that in a minute. So polyamory, many loves. Now, don't confuse this. It often gets confused with swinging. Swinging is when you go to an event or a party and there are many people there and everybody's milling around, and some people might pair off with somebody new, or somebody might, go off with somebody they came with, and somebody might go off with a bunch of people. Now, there are different dynamics within the swinging world too, which I'm not going to go over right now. We can go do that in a future episode. Swinging is when you are merely in it for sexual relations. You are going to an event or a party or a club, and you are there either to get a comfortable place for you and your partner to have something to do, or you're a little stimulation to your relationship. Let's put it that way. Or you're looking to go and meet someone, experiment with something new, try, everybody likes different flavors now and then. Do we all go to the ice cream parlor and order vanilla every single time? Maybe some of you do, and that's okay. I don't judge. I, however, do not. I do have my certain favorites, just like I do in my polyamorous relationships, but I change them up. I might eat the Buckeye one a couple times, which is like peanut butter and chocolate, which I absolutely adore. The next time I might go get salted caramel. The next time I'm going to get midnight snack because it has all the little goodies like chocolate covered pretzels and all kinds of things in it. That's what a swing club is. You're going and you want something different. You want to be around like minded people. It is a very non judgmental place. Have I been to them? Yes. Would I go again? Yes. But the difference between polyamory and swinging is that swinging is you are not building a relationship with someone. Once you leave the club, once you leave the event, wherever, the house party, it's done. Now, you may have certain partners and certain dynamics and certain relationships that, oh, I have this group of people and we all swing together. And that's fantastic. That's great for you all. But that's not the base of it. Like I said, there are many dynamics in swinging. So that's the difference there. Now, there is also polygamy, which people confuse it with. Polygamy is one man that has many wives and many, many children most of the time. That is more of a religious confine, shall we say, and there are more than one religion, so don't think it's just that one. There is more than one religion that is part of the polygamy practice or has the polygamy as part of their practice. So polygamy, one man, many wives. There is also polyandry. Polyandry is one woman with many husbands, which a lot of people don't know. It's something that it's been kept in the background for a long, long, long time. There is a show about it now. It's called Seeking Brother Husband, just like Seeking Sister Wives, or, there's all kinds of poly shows out there now. There's actually one now called Poly Family, and it's about these two couples, and they used to swing together, and they decided they wanted to be a closed quad. So a closed quad is what you have when you have four people, a quad, four, that just want to be in a relationship together. So the women have their own bedrooms, the husbands switch bedrooms at whatever time interval works for the couple. They all have children together. They have children that they brought into the relationship. And so they went from swinging to poly. So anyway, I'm giving you references if you want to go and see more. Poly Family, Seeking Sister Wife, Seeking Brother Husband, and Sister Wives, My Five Wives. You can watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but it has nothing to do with polygamy, polyamory, or anything. And I think a lot of people go to that show looking for it because they had that swinging scandal, but really I think it was just a bunch of kids fooling around together. And they became internet famous, and now they have a show, which is the way of the world these days, right? Anyway, back to why am I poly? See, I told you it veers off. We're like 12 minutes in and already I've gone off in 10 different directions. I'm just trying to give a little background and a little understanding to what a poly relationship is. So over hubby and I's 28 to 30 year relationship we've been in, things were good. Things were great. When we first met, we were both a lot younger. There was a lot of heat, shall we say. And so relations were happening very, very often. It became the basis of our relationship at one point, and we needed to take a step back and make sure that we were really the right partners for one another before we took it further and kept moving. Luckily, we did, and we got married, and things were great. And, about 7 years into our marriage, we had our daughter. Now, I have what's called polycystic ovary syndrome. You guys, I am an open book. I will tell you this over and over again, and I will give you details that you may not need or want, but to me, they are valid to the story. I have polycystic ovary syndrome, which means I have polycystic ovaries, which means I have very irregular menstruation. I have cysts that will turn up all over my body for no good reason, just because they feel like it's time. And it messes with my thyroid, with my hormones, with all kinds of things. And so for me to get pregnant, which I was dying to do, I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I always wanted to be a mom. I wanted somebody to nurture and take care of. And so we tried for a couple of years to get pregnant. I had 3 miscarriages before my daughter. 2 were singles, 1 was twins. So she would have had quite a few siblings. I also had 1 more after her because we were like, well, we got here, we have her, let's give it one more shot. It didn't work, and so we were done. So we have our one beautiful little princess, as I can call my 20-year-old. For those of you who have 20-year-olds, you know, if you know, you know. So we had our daughter, and things slowed down in the bedroom a little bit. You know, when you have a new baby in the house, or a new puppy or a new kitten if you don't have kids, there's a lot of training involved. There's a lot of waking up in the middle of the night. You know, they're not on a sleep schedule yet, and so you're not either. And so part of that intimacy starts to disappear, and it's not anybody's fault. I think it's just a natural course of things, or at least it was for us. I never want to generalize in this podcast. So when I say it just happens, I'm meaning it happened to me. I'm not saying in general, you know, if you're a young couple and you're getting ready to have a baby, this is precisely what's going to happen. This was my journey. So intimacy took a back seat for a while. One, because right after you have a baby, it's not really the first thing on your mind. And two, like I said, you're not getting a lot of sleep. There's a lot of changes in your life. And especially when it's your first, it's a lot you don't expect. She's a beautiful blessing, and I love her to death, and I would do anything for her. But hubby and I definitely had a little separation at that point. And when she was younger and everything, we lived in a really small house, and I'm a really loud lover. So, so I was like, oh, she's going to hear this and she's going to hear that. And so that started to take a toll. So we lost a little bit of our intimacy until she was about 10 years old, and we moved from New Jersey to Ohio into a bigger house. We were very blessed. Hubby was given a really good job. We were able to afford a much bigger place to where my family could come and visit, and we had room for everybody to sleep here and not have to get a hotel. It's wonderful. So we moved here. We were way further down the hallway, and things started to heat up again a little bit, but it wasn't quite the same. We didn't have the same fervor. Fervor? Is that the word? We didn't have the same heat for each other that we once did. And I think because we were older and we were different people. And that's the thing about a long, long marriage, you guys, is that as we're all getting older, we're all changing. We're all growing. We're all expanding our worlds. And I think when we came back together, it was a beautiful thing, and we had some really good times. And then after a while, you know, getting older, it kind of died down again. And not because anybody said, like, I'm done doing this now, just because we found out we had different tastes and different things were going on in our lives. So, a few years ago, 5 years ago, in 2020, my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer, small cell carcinoma. She had 7 brothers and 1 sister. She was one of 9. 4 of her other brothers also had this same lung cancer, which is rather bizarre. It doesn't happen often in families, and they thought, in a big family, this is crazy. Now, they were all smokers, and they all grew up in small Ohio and West Virginia coal mining towns. Does that have anything to do with it? We'll never know. It could be one, it could be other. One could have exacerbated the other. Who knows? We don't know. Anyhow, Mom got diagnosed with cancer. I'm in Ohio. The pandemic happens. Everybody's like, don't come visit. You might bring her germs. I'm like, okay, I will stay away. That's what's best. I would never want to endanger her or make anything crazy. And you guys are like, where is this going with the polyamory? Trust me, it's valid. Just hang in there with me, my friends. You're getting to know me on another level as well. So, or we're getting to know each other better, right? I don't want to make it all about me. This is about you too, my friend. This is all about you. Opening up your world, opening up our relationship. I can't wait to get your DMs. I can't wait to get your messages and see what it is you have to say, your thoughts, your questions, everything. Anyway, Mom gets diagnosed. She's in New Jersey. I'm here. I can't go there. My sister calls me in August of 2020 and says, you need to come visit, Mom. Now, this was right around my birthday. I honestly can't remember. I cannot remember if it was before or after. My birthday is August 13th. My mother's very last Facebook post that she made, and I'm going to tear up now, was about me on my birthday. Sorry. I got to compose myself a little bit here. Yes, the queen gets vulnerable from time to time. Off with their heads. So her last Facebook post was, happy birthday. I'm so sorry we can't be together. And that always meant a lot to me. And every year it comes up in my Facebook memories. And that's how I am. That's how my mother was. And I think I adopted that from her. And like I said in the beginning, I give and give to others a lot. And I care more about others. And my mom was literally in the last month of her life at that point, which we didn't know. And she was more concerned about me on my birthday than herself. So I go home and check into a hotel. I was able to work remotely. So I took a laptop with me. And so I was sitting at the dining room table. My parents had like a great room. So it was the dining room, the kitchen, and then off the dining room to the left was the open living room. And my mom was in her hospice bed in the living room. Not when I first got there, but maybe a week later. So I go and I hang out with her, and everything's fine for a couple days. I'm working. And then mom starts to very rapidly decrease. Things are not going well. Hospice nurse is coming to the house. Caretakers are coming to the house. So I'm working and I'm taking care of her, taking care of dad, making sure he eats and whatnot. And mom passes away in September of 2020. I'm the executor. I have to take care of things. I take care of things. I go back to New Jersey. This is October now. And about a month later, my sister calls. She's been taking my dad to the VA to appointments. He's been very, very sick. Things are not going well. Turns out dad has colon cancer. Now, dad had colon cancer before mom found out she had lung cancer. He was diagnosed and never said a word because he found out, I think he said a week or two before she did. And he wanted all of the attention and all of the benefits to go to her. This is how giving my parents were. I think this is why my sister and I are the way that we are. We will take in all the strays. My family has, even my extended family has always been this way. Which has a lot to do with polyamory too, because this is how we care for so many people all at once. My dad was one of 5. My mom was one of 9. So you can imagine how many cousins and second cousins and third cousins and once removes and all that we have. So dad gets sick. He gets through the colon cancer. Everything's fine. We're moving along. Life is good. So that next August, I am going to turn 50. My dad says, I'm going to come visit you. I'm going to come with your sister. We're going to spend a week. It's going to be great. Awesome. So I have a knee replacement that April. I'm out of work until about June. I go back to work. My dad proclaims that he's coming to visit me. I tell my boss, I'd really like to have this week off. My mom passed away. Dad just got through colon cancer. He's coming to celebrate my birthday. I'd love to be able to go sightseeing and stuff with my family and just do whatever. She says, no. No, you were just off on FMLA for your surgery for a couple months, and it's not fair to the rest of the team to have a whole nother week without you here. I get that. I do. I know there are very many people out there that worked with me at the time that were not a fan and will say that it was very selfish of me to even ask. However, in my mind, in my journey, I think they were wrong. And if any of you are going to write to me, can you tell me, am I crazy? Was I crazy? So anyway, hubby and I went back and forth and we debated it. We were at an okay financial place where he was like, you know what? He's like, you've been miserable. They were good to you through your surgery. They were good to you through when your mom was sick and everything. It's up to you. If you want to stay, stay. But you have been through so much this year. If you need to take a break, take a break. I went to my boss and I said, you know what? Because she said to me at one point, she's like, you can have a day. So pick a day. Let me know which one. So when I let her know, I said, I'm going to take all the days. I gave them my week's notice and I was done. By the time my family arrived for my 50th birthday, I was free as a bird. So it's now August of 2021. I have turned 50. My family goes back to New Jersey. Sorry. And a couple months later, my sister calls. You guys, and not every time I say my sister calls is it going to be bad news. It's just this part of the story. My sister calls and she says, Dad is sick. I've been taking him to the VA. They're doing all these MRIs and these lower GIs and upper GIs, and we can't figure out what's wrong and yada yada. Turns out Dad's got pancreatic cancer now. And you're thinking, how does somebody get 2 of the major cancers? Well, let me tell you, he was such an overachiever. He'd actually had 3 because when my daughter was like 2 years old, so like 18 years ago, he also had lung cancer. We'll get to that part of the story in a second. So now Dad's got pancreatic cancer. I go to New Jersey. We have a meeting with the doctor at the VA. He says, we have gone as far as we can go with this. He's like, pancreatic cancer is an aggressive one. There's not much that we can do. He's like, we don't have the resources and everything. Even if we could do something, it's not going to be a lot. So we're going to put him into the community program and we're going to send him to the cancer center at Rutgers University. Excellent. Let's do it. So he gets on the community care program. We move him down to Rutgers. They start looking at him. There's this young oncologist. He comes in with this very seasoned oncologist. And the young one is almost excited to tell us that he can't believe that the overachieving dad I have had 3 of the major cancers. And then they look through all his VA records, and you guys, my dad was a Vietnam veteran. They attributed this to all of the Agent Orange he had been exposed to. Now, he had had Agent Orange tests and everything much prior to this, years before this. And if you know a Vietnam vet who is exposed, tell them to go and have the tests because Dad was given 100% disability to the point that the government was paying my parents property taxes for the last 10 years of his life. Those benefits were amazing, and God bless the government and the VA for that. Anyway, why am I polyamorous? You're all saying. Okay, so fast forward. Dad passes away. It's been 16 months since Mom passed away. Dad passed away. Now, I was in the hospital every day with Dad with his tests, meeting with the doctors. My sister had to work full time. So I was there with him. She would come after work. We would meet up, discuss everything that happened, make the plans, look at the options, all the things. So I'm sitting there in the hospital with him day after day after day. And this is when it starts to get good, guys. This is the part you really want to hear a half hour in. Sorry. So my sister says to me as I'm sitting in the hospital one day, and I'm like, I love Guy Fieri. I do. When my daughter was little, she'd see him on TV and say, that's Mommy's boyfriend. But you can only watch so many episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives before you really want to pull your own eyes out. And Guy, I love you, and I'm sorry for that. So my sister says, why don't you get TikTok? She's like, I send you these videos. You look at them on the web browser anyway. You know they're funny. Like, you could sit there and scroll. And so I did. I got the TikTok app. Dad would go to sleep. I'd put my AirPod in. I'd be scrolling through, laughing at things, looking at things. Everything was cool. I loved it. Go back to the hotel one night. I'm scrolling through. All of a sudden, I find the other side of TikTok. If you know, you know. So I'm like, what is this now? Who are these people? What's going on over here? Like, I like this neighborhood a little bit. This is where it gets spicy, kids. So I start following a few creators and looking at their content. I'm like, oh, I like this. Turns out that there are guys out there who like chubby girls. Who knew? That's where it really took off from. I ran into a few people who like chubby girls like me. And believe me, after being the girl who was bullied and picked on and chastised her entire life for being the chubby girl, this was a big deal. This was a big deal for me. So I start chatting with people and talking, and we start talking, about our lives. We get to know each other. We build like these online friendships, whatever. We start DMing, we start Snapchatting, all the things. And then I start going live and talking with other people and getting to know them. I meet this friend we've been talking for a few months, and we're discussing like how things have really like come to a screeching halt in the bedroom for hubby and I. And it had been at least a year or two at this point, which was okay. I wasn't complaining. It just was what it was. So he says, well, have you ever considered polyamory? And I said, what's that? What? Poly who? I'm like, isn't that where a guy has a lot of wives? He's like, no. So just like I explained to you before, he explained it to me. I'm like, okay. So I said, well, I'm going to research this. So I read a couple things, watched some YouTube videos, and then I watched the show Sister Wives, because I'm like, the only thing I know about polygamy is the show Big Love that was on HBO back in the day, and that was just about drama, really not about, well, I guess it kind of had about their relationships in it. But anyway, I digress. So I start researching it, and I'm watching these shows, and I'm like, you know what? This might not be a bad option, because not only did I discover that I wanted to get back into intimacy, and really I wanted to get back into intimacy with hubby, but he was at a place where he was like, I'm kind of okay without it. You know, he's years older than me, and it happens in some people's lives. You know, things change, and you just don't have that drive anymore. You just don't. And it's okay. I still love him to death. He loves me. He spoils me. We adore each other. Everything is great in every other sense. So I also discover that I have some spicy tastes, and there are some things I would like to try, like spanking and whatnot. But we'll get into other episodes, I promise, kids. So I start chatting with everybody about this, and this guy's like, yeah, you know, polyamory or swinging, you could go and meet other people. You could get the spicy side and still have hubby at home. And I'm like, yes, please. Wait, I could have the spicy side and all this, and this off the buffet and still have hubby at home? Yes, please. Where do I sign up? So after my research of a couple months, I go to hubby one day and I say, look, hon, my mom and dad have passed away. I am at a place where I feel like I can finally breathe. I spent 25 years, well, not quite 25 at that point. I spent a lot of years being the perfect wife, being the perfect mom, being the good daughter, because I never wanted to disappoint my parents, and I never wanted to disappoint society, my family, my friends. So I kept up this facade, you know. I always was spicy. I always wanted to do different things. Like, I would leave a Girl Scout meeting and want to go out to a club and just scream and yell and dance. And like, it just wasn't the point in life and time for me to do that. Although some days I really regret not doing it younger, because I could have been having a really good time all these years. Not that I'm not now. Oh, I definitely am now. And you'll hear all about that later too. So my parents pass away, and it sounds really sick to some people, and it's not meant to be offensive, but I felt like I could breathe. I could just be myself. I could be authentic. Because what I realized was mom was 68, dad was 70 when they passed away. And I'm like, I'm 51 at this point. So I'm 51 at this point. I only have X amount of years left. And I want to live them up. I want to do things I haven't done. I want to do things I want to do. You know, cut my hair differently, wear different clothing, wear makeup every day. Like, all the things. So the more people I'm meeting on social media and getting to know and learning their stories and everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, this whole world is opening up to me, as I hope it is for you, my loves. I say to hubby, I need to do this. Like, I need to do this. I'm like, I have actually considered like leaving and going off and just starting over again. Not with somebody new, not to get remarried. I don't think I would ever get remarried. Now, I might have a relationship. I might live with somebody. I don't think I would get remarried. And he says, why? Why am I not enough? You know, of course, what's everybody's reaction going to be? Why am I not enough? Why don't you love me anymore? I do love you. I love you. I adore you, but I need more. I have needs that are not being met. So, long story short, he and I deliberate for months. At least it had to be like 2 months. It had to be. finally we come to a compromise, a conclusion, and we say, okay, we're going to try this and see how it goes. Before we did, it was very important to me to include my daughter. Now, as I told you earlier, she is an old soul. She's very mature, and it's just the three of us. So she's well aware when things are wrong in the house. So we sit down with her at the family dinner table, and we bring it up to her one night. And she already knew what polyamory and stuff was because, like I said, she's pretty mature, and she's on social media. She's not ignorant to what happens in the world. And she grew up in a place around very different people, different cultures, different races, different everything. So she has a big, expansive mind. So we sit down with her, and her first question is, are you getting a divorce? And I say, no, we're doing this to avoid a divorce. This is going to be like, mommy has the vanilla ice cream, but now she wants to add on the hot fudge and all this and that to the sundae. So the sundae isn't going away. It's just being added to. She's like, okay. She says, and this is the part that has stuck with me forever and just slapped me like a brick wall. She says to me, well, to us, well, good. Maybe you guys won't fight so much anymore then. And I'm like, wow, that hadn't occurred to me. And she was right. She was absolutely right. So we all decided, yes, mom would try dating. So mom started dating. It was going well, obviously, because here we are, like, what, close to 4 years later, mom's still dating. So yeah, it took a little adjustment. There was a lot going on in the household, trying to figure out how it was going to work, the code words we were going to use, Normally I will say I'm going out with a friend, and they know that's a signal that I'm going out with my date or my boyfriend or whatever I happen to be in at that time. We're going to go over all my different relationships in the next few episodes, so please tune in again to hear more intimate and juicy details. This, again, is just about how I became polyamorous. And I don't want these to be too long because I know you guys do not want to listen to me drone on and on all day. So here we are at the point where I have become polyamorous. So we will find out in the next episode about my first relationship, how we met, how it went, what things were about. And I can tell you, to finish off that last story, that she was absolutely right, because we did start fighting a lot less. In marriages, you pick on each other about things, like we would get into like screaming matches over the silliest things, like vacuuming or the ketchup or whatever. We ran out of something in the refrigerator, and all of a sudden it was like the end of the world. And then once I started dating and I started meeting other people and having these needs met, because hubby is not a let's go to a club, let's go to a concert, let's go hoot and holler kind of guy. But I started dating people like that because I am very much so like that, and I had been missing that for a long, long, long time. I didn't resent him as much. And I don't resent him now. And we don't fight about the little things. Do we fight? Do we have arguments? Absolutely. Every relationship does. And if you say that you don't, you're fibbing, and you know it. But we don't fight about the little things as often. Now, every once in a while, somebody's having a really bad day at work, or somebody's not feeling good, something's not off. Of course, we have those little arguments, but not nearly as much. So, as much as people believe that polyamory will ruin a relationship, and I'm sure there are couples out there that has happened to, and I'm so sorry, for us, it has made our relationship so much stronger to the point that we communicate better now than we ever did before. So we've been together, what did I say? Almost 28 years now. I've been poly for 4 years. So for the first 24 years of our marriage, we had a really hard time communicating. We just did. We have very different communication styles, and we never really found a good path. But since this happened, something has clicked. And hubby said, I realized that before I wasn't really listening. He's like, I've learned how to listen now. And I've learned how to really hear what you're saying and take it in and work with you on it, and know that we can come to a compromise, and it's not in I'm right and you're wrong. because we're both very strong-willed. He's Hungarian and I'm German and Welsh. So very stoic, very rugged cultures we come from. And so we can both be stubborn. We can. So can you imagine how stubborn our daughter is? Yeah. Anyhow, that is how the queen became polyamorous, my friends. So thank you so much for hanging in with me for the first 40 minutes. Please listen to the closing because, as most of you know, I do BP jewelry, surprise jewelry reveals. Of course, there has to be an ad at the end. Her Highness's Hideaway, brought to you by the Queen's Vault BP Jewelry. No, literally, it is. I paid for the microphone with money that I made from the jewelry company. So thank you all for that, because I know many, many of you are my customers, and I love you so much. If you have listened to this all the way through, for your next BP order in the Queen's Vault, please use the code PODCAST, PODCEAST, all one word, all caps, to get free shipping on your order. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have enjoyed this. I look forward to your comments and questions and everything. Please DM me on TikTok, on the Book of Faces, I'm on YouTube now. I have a YouTube channel. I might start posting these videos that I'm in, because I'm actually looking in a video. It makes it easier for me to record if I'm looking at myself. Remind me next time to tell you guys about Susie and the bread box.